All right, everybody, welcome back to America's Real Estate Show. We are so excited that you're with us today for our 1-year anniversary show, live from Las Vegas.
Yeah.
As you can hear and see, we have an incredible crowd, insane energy. I'm Ashley Pulickal, your host, and we bring top producers from across the country to our stage so they can share their secrets to success with all of you. And because this is a special 1-year anniversary show, not only do we have one amazing top producer, we have 3. And today we are so excited to welcome, please everybody say hello to Henish from San Diego. Hello, Henish. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Ashley, thanks for having me up here. I'm excited to do this.
Oh my gosh, we are going to have such a great time. And you know, I always love to start every show with some big shout outs. So who would you love to say hello to?
Yeah, appreciate that. I've got my beautiful wife here to support, Teresa. I've got my kids at home that are going to be watching, Malachi, Taj, and Zarabel. I got to give a shout out to the ROA crew. You know, Jeff Turchin's my immediate sponsor, and then Gil and Mark and Eddie, who have been super supportive, and I've really enjoyed my experience here with this group. And so thank you for having me, Ashley, as well.
Oh, absolutely. Okay, Henish. So before we dive into our topic today, I want everybody to know just how amazing you are. So I'm going to read off a few highlights. Okay?
Check.
Oh, right there. Well, you know, nothing like live television.
There you go.
Okay, so here we go with your highlight reel.
Yeah.
In your 20-year real estate career, you've been an REO manager. You've consulted for some of the largest banks in the United States. Since 2014, you've owned a real estate investing firm. In 2018, you started Cal Home Co. Construction, which will exceed $10 million in revenue this year. You've sold, shout out for that right there. You sold over 3,000 homes in your career, and you are a 400 million top producer, like I said at the top of the show, from San Diego. Congratulations on all of your success.
Thank you.
Okay, so one of the reasons we wanted to have you on our show today is because you have created an incredible program called Deal or No Deal.
Yeah.
So today we are going to transform this room, this stage, this moment into a deal or no deal experience. How's that sound?
Sounds great. It's a fun project, yeah.
Okay, so we are going to dive into this. And as an example for today, we are going to use the property at 9904 Tudor in San Diego. So what would you like to share with us about that property before we dive into all the details?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me give a little background on this. I got to give credit to Deal or No Deal from an agent on my team named Jorge Morales. He's been working with me for a few years, and he came up with the idea. And so he said, let's present properties that we can review because people get a lot of value out of seeing how you look at properties to flip or to invest in. And so that's how it started. With this property on Tudor Avenue, this came to me initially from a regular retail client that said, hey, this is my dream location, the price is right, I'm gonna go check it out. And so before I could go to the house with him, he saw it at an open house and said, don't worry about it, the house needs too much work, I can't buy this house. And that piqued my ears, right? I'm an investor and I like to buy these properties that make sense for me, and that's one of the benefits we get of being a realtor is we get exposure to that. So I went to the house later that day and I saw it and I gave him a call and I said, this house looks awesome. It's an incredible location. I have the vision to help you get this thing done and remodel it after you buy it, and it'll be beautiful for you. He's like, it's too much work for me, I don't want it. And I said, if you don't buy it, I'm going to buy this house. And so he kind of laughed it off. But a week or two later, when I sent him a check, he's like, what was that money for? He's like, well, thanks for the referral to that property. I bought that house that you passed on. He's like, you did? That's crazy. So that was how I acquired that property.
Perfect. Okay. And so now for everybody who's here live watching, tell us just a little bit about what deal or no deal is. And then we're going to start breaking down how you do your analysis.
Yeah, absolutely. So with deal or no deal, we invite people and they come 20, 30, 40 people to my showroom office that we have in San Diego. And the goal is that everyone brings at least an address of a property they want to discuss, whether it's to flip, to develop, to redevelop, to keep as a buy and hold investment. And so I'll look it up on maps, on Property Radar. I'll look up the financials. We'll look up we'll pull some spreadsheets up and some data to make the numbers make sense on this deal, what price they should be paying, what they can expect as an outcome. And so it gives a lot of the agents and the people in the audience an opportunity to understand how an investor thinks that's doing this on how the numbers work.
Okay, perfect. So now I'm at your event and I bring the address to you. What is the first question you're going to ask me?
Yeah, usually I'm asking, tell me the story. How did you get this property? Are you talking to the seller directly? Is it listed? Is it on the market? Is it just an ugly house you saw in a neighborhood that you drove by? Give me some background on it. Ideally, they give some story of, it came to me from a wholesaler, or it came to me from an agent, it's off market, I'm talking to the seller, it's a neighbor of mine, whatever the story is. And then just give me some general numbers. What do you think you could buy it for? What do you think it's worth afterwards? Hopefully they've done a little bit of homework on the property, so I know something to work with, right? Otherwise I can work with nothing, it just helps to have some background.
Definitely. Okay, and so then after they have told you a little bit of the story about the property, then it's my understanding that you immediately will pull up Google Earth. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and so when you're doing that, what are you looking for?
I'm looking for the main three rules of real estate, which is location, location, and location. And so I want to see what it's next to. Is it next to busy roads? Is it next to a junkyard? Is it next to a tire repair shop? Or is it next to a park? Or does it have a canyon view or an ocean view or a neighborhood view? So depending on what that is, as we all know, there's a big impact for the value and the desirability for the end user. So that's what I'm looking at first. Let me look at the location. Let me look at the features and benefits of it.
Okay, and now another tech tool that you love is Property Radar.
Yes.
So I want you to tell everybody why you love this tool so much. I know you have probably tested many, but Property Radar is your favorite.
Yes.
So tell us about...
There's no shortage of competitors. It used to be called Foreclosure Radar. I turned to Property Radar because now it includes all of the information on it. And I was introduced to this when I first started flipping properties as a great way to connect and find notice of default, notice of trustee sale, people that are pre-foreclosure, that are having mortgage problems, to connect with them and find those people, their addresses, and reach out and offer some support or help or guidance. And a lot of times they do need to sell, or they'll need to list it, or whatever it is. And so that was the primary reason. From there, it's evolved into all the data, property information, the owner records, the mortgage history, and it even has investment analysis tools in there, so you can analyze right within there if you can flip a property, what the profitability will look like, adjust all the variables, give you the comps right there so you can click on them and see what they put up as an AVM, the automated value model, for the properties that are right there. So super useful, and you can get a lot of information quickly, and that's why I like that.
Perfect. Okay, so now take us back to Deal or No Deal. And so you're pulling up Property Radar, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, and walk us through what you're doing with everybody as you're pulling this up, because I imagine you probably have maybe a big TV with you there, so everyone is looking at everything at the same time with you?
Correct, yeah, exactly. I have my laptop in front, and typically I've got a designer or an architect sitting next to me, because in San Diego there's a lot of opportunities to add ADUs or add extra units, and so I want them to, on the spot, give a feasibility of what's possible here. So yeah, we project our TVs, our laptops up to the TVs behind us so the audience can see exactly what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the maps, I'm looking at the data on Property Radar, square footage, bed bath count, lot size, whether it's got fireplace and all these other things that'll probably be recorded onto public records, so we can take a feel for this property before I have to go and do a site visit itself. If I can do this from my desk, that's a good start. So that's what I'm looking at to begin with.
Okay, perfect. And then do you move from Property Radar to looking at pictures on the MLS of the property?
Correct, yeah. In this case, this is why I'm bringing up this example. This is one of the properties I did buy on the market. And it was an interesting situation where by the time I put my offer in, the agent said, it's too late. We've already got 16 offers and we're over this price. And so I chatted with her a little bit further just to create some rapport, and she indicated to me that in this neighborhood in San Diego, this is in Scripps Ranch, which is a nicer suburban neighborhood in San Diego, they don't have many fixers. So she, even though she was an experienced agent, she hadn't had experience selling fixers. And so I kind of gave her some experience shares of some pitfalls that I've had selling these with kind of unscrupulous investors or unscrupulous wholesalers that'll do bait and switch pricing or ask for a massive price reduction at the last minute. And she took that advice to heart, and she was like, that was super useful, because sure enough, on day 9 out of a 10-day escrow for the original buyer, they asked for a massive price reduction, and that upset her. And that upset her clients. And so she called me right up and said, you were exactly right. They did this bait and switch stuff. Can you close? And I said, give me 7 days and I'll close at the price. And so that's how I scooped it up, even though I wasn't even one of the original 16 offers on this property. So I was able to create the rapport. She trusted that I would be able to do what I did. I did, and that's how we got the property purchased. But you're right. I look at the pictures. I'm looking at the analysis on a typical deal. Does it look like it's going to have grading problems? Because in San Diego, there's a lot of hilly properties. Is it on a canyon? Are there going to be retaining walls? Are there gutters? Things like that, that after 20, 30, 50 years, that a little bit of water will add up in the corner of the property and sink it. And now you got a broken foundation that could cost $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 to repair. So the pictures can tell the story of 1,000 words for sure.
Absolutely. And I love how you brought up again that you have an architect and a designer with you. And I know you have some other partners there too. Do you want to just touch on that for a minute? What other types of relationships that you invite to be at Deal or No Deal?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I don't go up there saying like I'm the guru of everything. I say, let's crowdsource this, right? Everyone's in the room is typically in the business. They're agents, they're wholesalers, they're investors. I've got hard money lenders in the room. There's sometimes title and escrow reps in there. So I always ask people to share their best experience or advice on the property we're looking at, because maybe they know that neighborhood or something, a nuance better than I do. And I want to keep everyone involved. So that's helpful. So the hard money lender is a key role in there, because they're double checking your math, right? If you're getting money from a lender, they want your ARV to be the same as theirs, right? They're hoping that it's pretty similar, because they don't want to lend on it, right? Otherwise, because they're giving you money based on the after construction or after repair value. So they're a great double check on the property. And so I'll often ping off of the hard money lender that might be in the room saying, tell me, what do you think about this property? What do you think about the analysis? Is our scope of work enough? Did we budget enough for the rehab based on their experience? Because they're doing this every day times 100 or whatever it is. So they see enough deals and they have enough reps to give you an extra layer of, confidence that you're doing a good deal.
And how about the architect and the designer? How do you involve them in the process?
Yeah, absolutely. So sometimes, especially in land constrained areas like San Diego, we don't have space to spread out. So every property is a redevelopment opportunity. Up until recently, you could do multiple ADUs, accessory dwelling units or granny flats on your property. Now they've changed and scoped back that a little bit from the NIMBYs, upset that people are putting in 10 or 20 or 100 ADUs in their backyard. Now you can still do up to 2 or 3 ADUs at your property, which is a big benefit. But the question is there space? Will it be allowable by code based on Florida area ratios and other zoning metrics? So that can get really nuanced, because zoning can change from street by street. And to have an architect there that can look up all of her tools and double check that for you, give you some confidence of, yes, you can definitely add 2 units, or no, you're maxed out, you can't add any more space on this. So that's a super good litmus test before you start spending money on this property.
Perfect. So in summary, for the agents who are with us and when they want to replicate what you're doing, who would you advise there to be part of their program? What other experts would you advise that they always have at their event?
Yeah, I think it's an easy opportunity to bring in an actual flippers or investors that work in your market as the potential expert, unless you have experience of doing 30, 50, 100 of these or more, because that they'll give you the eyes and the lens of a person that's putting their money where their mouth is and can share, no, you cannot rehab a house for $30,000, right? And tell you those kind of things where you might have a fact from a long time ago that isn't true anymore, right? Because things got expensive. So it's nice to have that person there that's a professional. It's nice to have the architect there. It's nice to have the hard money lenders there. And it's good to have other area experts like the agents that are usually in attendance, because they know the neighborhood and they know those markets.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're at the final step, which is your master spreadsheet.
Sure.
And I know know that this is where the rubber pretty much meets the road, right?
Yep.
So I would love for you to walk everyone through every number that you go through in your spreadsheet. And again, it's my understanding, I just want everyone to get a visual of this. At your event, again, you're pulling up your spreadsheet on the big screen. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you would walk us through each of the numbers and break this down for us as it relates to the property that we're talking about today.
For sure. So we can talk about Tudor. You know, the time is the most important, right? When am I buying it? When do I expect to sell it? And typically, I can get these done in about 4 or 5 months. So I put in 4 months because sometimes you can do it in 3, sometimes it takes longer. I need to know the purchase price, right? I need to have an estimate of what I believe it's going to sell for, my ARV. I need to have an estimate of what my rehab budget is. In this case, it was $200,000. So this property I bought for 1.1. I put $205,000 into it, fixed the pool, all the exterior roof, interior remodel, et cetera, everything. And it was a 2,000 square foot, 4-bed, 2.5 bedroom house, 10,000 square foot lot. It had nice views of a eucalyptus grove in the back. And so it was a cul-de-sac, like a tucked back home. It had a 100-foot private drive lined by trees. It was very rare in that neighborhood to have a property like that. So the comps were only at 1.5. And this is where it took a little bit of guts because I was like, I think someone's going to pay at least $100,000 over because this is that much nicer of a lot than every other lot in that neighborhood, right? And by the time I'm done, someone's going to go crazy for it. So at 1.1 plus 200,000 at 1.5 sale, it looks like you have a gross profit of 200,000. But this project actually took me about 7 months to finish because the day I closed on it, a neighbor sent me an anonymous email saying, "Dear crappy flipper, your property crappy flipper, we've already reported you to code compliance. You better get permits." Okay, and so that's a little wrench in the game, and so we just took it in stride, no problem. You know, we'll get some permits. We got the electrical permits because we just finished finishes, so we didn't need permits for major construction. It was just kitchens, baths, windows, and pretty easy. But it did delay us by 2 months. It actually probably worked out in our favor. So instead of hitting the market during the holidays, December or Christmas time, we were able to hit the market January, February when people were back out shopping. So it kind of worked out in my favor, but it held that holding costs a little longer, right? And you know what people forget about is the holding costs, right? You spend 1.1 million plus $200,000 in rehab. The monthly cost on that is about 1% of that per month. So of the 1.3 million, it's costing me $13,000 a month in mortgage, the hard money lending, the insurance, the taxes, the utilities. If there's HOA, that adds up. And on average, it's about 1% a month times 7 months. So 13 times 7 is what? About $101,000 or so dollars. That's $100,000 in interest and holding costs I'm paying. So buying at 1.1, putting 200 into it, and selling for 1.5 after 7 months is almost a break-even deal. It was made about $7,000. But as expected, people went crazy for the house. They were sitting there dreaming of this orchard of eucalyptus trees in the backyard, and the pool, and the basketball court, and the putting green that we had, and the 4 bedrooms perfect for their family. And sure enough, we had a bidding war and ended up selling for $200,000 more than the highest comps in the neighborhood.
Fantastic!
So yeah, at 1.7 million at the 1.1 purchase and a 205 rental, it made a little over 200,000. So that checked out, and it set a new comp for the neighborhood. And so that worked out really well. And the initial agent that sold it to me was so happy with the process and that we put a good quality remodel out that now she's forcing everyone at her brokerage to send me any investment properties they have because they know that, you know, that we'll take care of them.
That is great. And
well.
do you want to touch just a little bit on your construction company and how this kind of factors in?
Yeah, absolutely. So my business partner initially started as my project manager for my flips because I was doing enough flips where I needed someone to just manage that work and the subcontractors and do the design. And that's not my specialty. I can only be good at so many things. And designing houses is definitely not my skill set. So I let someone else do that, manage the subs. And so when we got enough business, people would come to our houses and say, "This is a nice house, it's the nicest house we've seen in a while. Would you remodel my house down the street?" And that rolled into, let's make this an official construction company. That rolled out in 2018. And in the last few years, we really figured out how to make it profitable and scalable. So yeah, this year we'll hit about 10 million. Next year, we're on track to hit about 20, and we've got a good pipeline to keep growing at a pretty steady clip. And got 15 people on staff, 20 projects rolling at a time. Average project's around $800,000. It's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that is fantastic. So for the agent who maybe doesn't want to replicate that same exact path in partnering up and opening up their own construction company, what would you advise? Because they still can create great partnerships.
Yes.
So let's talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is a hard sport to do by yourself. This is a team sport. You know, you need to have your crew of network with you. You know, whether it's your hard money lender, whether it's your construction manager or project manager, and your lenders and all these other people. You need equity investors potentially. If you don't have unlimited money to put down the 10, 20% plus the holding costs for these properties, it helps to have an equity investor that you can share some money with, but get the deals done. So I think it's easy to reach out to construction companies, and some, like ours, typically won't work with flippers anymore because we can't do the work cheap enough, right? They want to get it done more affordably because there's thin margins. Depending on the scale, right? Sometimes at the 2 million and plus level, then those investors are calling us because they want a nice high quality job. But it'd be easy enough for agents to connect with some project managers or construction people to find out who is willing to take on that work, that can give you a detailed scope of work, that can give you a firm budget that they can stick to and a timeline they can stick to. And then you can execute that way and use them to underwrite your deals. And maybe they'll defer some of their overhead or profit on their construction side to ride in the deal with you and make a partnership that way. So there's different ways that you can set that up.
So for all the agents who would love to replicate what you just demonstrated for us with Deal or No Deal with their own version, what do you want them to remember before they say deal or no deal?
Yeah, every deal can be a deal. You just have to buy it at the right price, right? You know, so that same deal that I just mentioned at 1.1 with the 1.5 exit is a no deal, right? So if I was firm on that 1.5, I'd have to buy it at least at $1 million, right? So you'd have to just adjust the price and see if the seller or whoever's offering the property is willing to take the price that does make it a deal, you know? In other cases, you might get a property that's permanently blighted and you just don't want it. So one of the properties that was pitched to me on Tuesday's Deal or No Deal was in an area that gets flooded a lot in San Diego. And it's a constant problem, and no one wants to buy a house in a flooded area. It's almost impossible to sell because if you know you can get 2-3 feet of water in your property every year, that's a no-go, you know? So I was like, we're not flipping that house, list it and see if some investor will buy it maybe as a rental and can deal with that issue. So any deal can be a deal. You just have to be able to figure out how to work it.
Okay, and so let's say that they all leave here today and they go create their own Deal or No Deal program. What type of impact do you feel that it can have on their business?
Yeah, it's really useful because even if you don't make any dollars out of it, you get a reputation as a thought leader. People leave the room with pages of notes, and every time agents, even very experienced agents, like, I learned more in that than any event that I've been to this year, right? It was so useful to learn how the underwriting works. I didn't think of all these different factors that you have to consider. And so it's really gratifying for that reason. But then guess what? When they have their next flip property they come to or they come across, they're going to pitch it to me, right? Can you share this? Can you share how you do this? Would you partner with me on this? Could you work with me on it? So it brings a good deal flow as well, right? Additionally, I'm able to attract agents that way. So people go to it and say, hey, my broker, my team leader, my brokerage isn't giving this kind of details to me. They're not sharing this kind of information. They're not teaching me how to level up and not just be a realtor that sells houses, but can also buy houses and buy investment properties. And so a lot of times they'll call me afterwards and say, hey, are you accepting agents on your team? We'd be interested to talk to you to see if this could be a fit, because I want to learn what you're teaching, right? And so I get a lot of agents that way that are joining my team saying, thank you for sharing all that, and then they become investors themselves, which is a huge benefit to agents.
Yes, well, I mean, you're passing on all of your wisdom and knowledge, and then you're helping other agents add an additional revenue stream to their business, which
Correct.
is absolutely amazing.
Correct, yeah, absolutely. And I still tell realtors, tell people you're a realtor, don't tell them you're an investor, but it's helpful to tell other realtors that you're an investor, right? And now other realtors say, oh, you're an investor, let me pitch you my properties. I got one from probate, I got one from bankruptcy, whatever it is. They want to sell it off market. Well, if you're the person they call, excellent, right? Now you can make that numbers, and if you could explain to them how you got to their numbers, I need to make a reasonable profit, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, whatever it is, they can usually understand that, and they'll do a better job of selling it to their client to get you that deal done.
Wonderful. Okay, so as we are wrapping up our conversation, it already went so fast. So what final message would you like to leave everybody with today?
I don't think we rehearsed that question.
This is live and unfiltered right now.
You know, and I think that having that abundance philosophy and sharing all of your secret sauce is useful, right? Because even if you tell everyone exactly how to do this, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go and do it themselves. they're probably more likely to want to work with you, right? They'll say, let's bring it to you, because even for me, and for everyone I talk to, I always recommend partnering with someone that's experienced doing this for your first 10, 20, 30 deals or more, because it's easy to make $50,000 or $100,000 mistakes, right? I'd rather share half the profit or something like that and get the deal done and make sure I made money, instead of saying I did it by myself and I lost 50. I could have prevented that if I had worked with someone experienced. So get that right partnership, and buddy up with someone, because guess what? If you ask me to do a deal with you, every time I'm going to say yes.
Okay, and tell everybody where they can find you.
Yeah, I'm in San Diego. I'm easy to find. I'm probably the only Henish to find there, but you can see me on my website at calhomeco.com, also on all the social medias. In fact, on our website, we do have a little video walkthrough of that property that we did before and after, and explains what it does. So if you want to see what that house looked like, it's right on there. So easy to find. Thank you for that.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank
Give
you.
Henish a huge round of applause. Thank you, Henish. If you'll take a seat right over there.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, so next on our show, right there, Henish, perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. All right. Okay, and so now if everybody would please welcome to the show, Gil Torres. Hello, Gil.
Good job, buddy. Good job. Hello. How are you?
Gil. So good to see you.
Yes, glad to be back.
Welcome back to the show.
Yes.
So excited to have you.
Yes.
Okay, so I always love to start out with shout outs. So who would you love to give a big hello to before we get into our conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, my wife here in the front row, he's always supporting us and everything that we've done. I want to give a shout out to my kids back at home. I love you guys. We'll be home soon, but mom and dad are having fun here in Vegas. So.
And I know you have an amazing team in California.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to them as well. Yes.
Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to let everybody know a few highlights about you, and then we'll dive into our conversation, okay?
Yes.
So in your 20-year career, you and your team, led with your wife, Sarah, you all have closed over 2,000 units and over $1 billion in volume. That is amazing. You've been ranked in the top 50 teams in Northern California by Real Producers Magazine, the top 100 teams nationwide by NAREP. You were on the front cover of Real Producers Magazine as one of their feature stories. You've been inducted into the Lifetime Masters Club by the Sacramento Association of Realtors. It's my understanding that's pretty much the equivalent of the Realtors Hall of Fame. So congratulations on all of your success, Gil and Sarah Torres. Give them a huge round of applause. Okay, so today I would love for us to focus on one of your passions, which is business-to-business relationships.
Yes.
And I know you've made a lot of them over your career, and they've had a massive impact on you. So my very first question for you is, why did you decide to make institutional partners such a big part of your business model?
Yeah. I mean, you reach a level in production, especially like with the traditional business model, your SOI, and you get to a point where like, okay, what's next, right? And so just being so blessed with Sarah and I, and being able to travel the country and be able to mastermind with brokers, team leaders across the country, I give credit to a good friend of mine who's here in the room, Mark Dimas, told me maybe about 15 years ago when we met and we got to that level, it was like, you got to really think now, if you want to scale and continue to offer value to your team and your team members, is to be able to now look for those relationships that are going to give you 10 listings in 1 year versus one listing every 5 to 7 years. And that resonated with me. That was like, oh my gosh, they're out there. There's those opportunities that are out there. And so I think that with that in mind and being guided that direction, then we were more intentional in going out there and being able to offer more value to our team.
So why did this end up being the right move for you, for your growth?
Yeah, I would just say, because you want to continue to scale, you want to offer value to your team members, right? And, having kind of those referral partners that you're able to make and having that opportunity for them to really have hands-on experience, getting out there in the field, boots on the ground, that's the best coaching opportunity, right? We know that 80-20 rule, 80% of what you're going to learn, you're not going to utilize in the industry. 20% is actually out there in the industry. And so being able to have that hands-on experience, offer that to the team, and be able to coach them, that was huge. That really helped us to scale. And that really helped our team members to really scale as well.
Okay, so how about for the agents who feel like they just can't break into these business-to-business relationships? What would you like them to know?
Yeah, I hear that a lot because, obviously we're pouring into so many other agents as well. And if I had that mindset, we wouldn't be here today, right? That if I thought, oh, you know what, I'm never going to get an opportunity, I'm never going to get a seat at the table, then we wouldn't be here today. So obviously, as we know, opportunities just don't fall in your lap, right? You got to be intentional. You got to go out there, put yourself into those environments. You got to have those conversations that are going to create those opportunities. And I encourage them and empower them to think the same way, right? Because you never know. You're going to an event like this, you're going to a convention, you're going to a seminar, you don't know who you're going to be shaking hands with, who you're going to be meeting, right? I mean, I love Mark's story all the time when he talks about his hedge fund picking him up on the side of the road. I mean, I've heard plenty of those scenarios, and that's similar with us as well, right? If we weren't there intentionally putting ourselves in those environments, having those conversations, we would have never been able to make those connections.
So when you are making these connections, what have you found to be the best way to communicate your value in a way that really connects to them with what matters most to them?
Yeah, I mean, they're out there because obviously they're in business and they want to continue to be successful and thrive in business, but they have problems as well, right? And one thing that we really learned very well is be able to identify that problem and create a solution, right? Offer them value, be of service, right? Don't expect that you're gonna go out there, you're gonna shake hands, and then all of a sudden you're gonna be like, hey, can you start sending me business, right? Because that's not gonna happen. You really have to build value, build that relationship. I always say it all the time, make a friend, help a friend. And we coach that all the time with our agents as well. So being intentional, and that value is what you can offer them. That value is what you can offer them in regards to helping being a problem solver, right? I mean, that's that golden handcuffs there.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so when you're creating these relationships, what have you found to be the best way to keep the relationships strong and continuing to grow?
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been so blessed to be in these networks for such a long period of time because we have seen so many brokers and so many team leaders come and go within these networks, right? And it's all about preserving and protecting and really helping them convert because they're teaming up with you so that way you can preserve and protect. That way you can be boots on the ground, right? And so I think the biggest thing for us is to always have the mindset of preserving and protecting and offering value. It's retention, right? And like I said, you got to be ready. You got to be on that sideline to be like, put me in, coach, because there's going to be that opportunity when somebody messes up with that relationship, somebody doesn't convert, or they jeopardize that relationship, and now they're ready to move on, and they're going to be looking to adding somebody to that network. I mean, another great advice is not just the referral partners that we met, but I mean, meeting other agents that are in those networks, and being able to collaborate with them and mastermind with them, because other agents have actually got us and helped us get us in specific networks as well. So
I love your motto of preserve and protect.
Yes.
It says so much. So maybe you could expand a little bit on some of those ways that you do preserve and protect those relationships.
Yeah, that's huge. I think the biggest thing is, especially majority of our referral partners, institutional lenders, right? On a national platform, and you have a loan officer and a call center that's originating the loan, but they don't have that relationship. And before, back in the day, they just go out with your loan approval letter, go find an agent, right? They'll find an agent in that market. And everybody knows that we have the best lenders, we have the best title reps, right? And so you obviously know that agent is going to be like, hey, let me try to go ahead and refer you over to my preferred lender, right? Boots on the ground. So that's what I mean by preserving and protecting, because the issue that they're having when they created this program way back in the day is they would approve all these clients, they would send them out, and then they would make connections with agents, boots on the ground. And then they would lose the loan origination, right? And so because they're working with a preferred lender. So that concept of preserving and protecting, being boots on the ground, is to make sure that they have that connection with that lender that originally, they got connected with and that referred it over to us as well.
So when you look back over your career and you think about who have been some of your best referral partners, what would you say have been the top 2 things you did that really built those relationships?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, we started off locally, and understanding that we wanted to create those relationships, and then we were able to make those connections on a national platform. But I think the biggest ones for us were like lenders and institutions, that were doing loan originations. That was huge for us. And then I think the next biggest one is property management. I mean, before we said that we were in and we transitioned to ROA, we had our own brokerage, 18 years in the industry. We had a property management division. We did loan origination, so we understood financing on the back end of it as well. And every year I wanted to get rid of the property management division. I was like, this is such a headache, you know? I mean, and the volume that we were receiving or the income we were receiving, it wasn't just matching up. But every time I sat down with Sarah and I would, my wife, and I would like, you know, say, hey, we're done, you know, we're stressed out. We would look at the true numbers that we were able to originate from sales from our property management division, and that's where it made sense. And so when we transitioned to ROA, we got rid of our property management division. It was like a no-brainer of us like, hey, let's go after those property management companies because they're the first to know when those landlords want to sell too. So that's been pretty successful for us as well.
Okay, great. So let's just dive just a little bit deeper. So summarize for me, for all the agents who want to start developing these B2B relationships, what would you say are maybe like the top 3 that you would encourage them to go build relationships with?
Yeah, I would say the easiest ones is going to be, you know, your local lender institutions. Credit unions are great. Mostly every credit union that I know has a referral network, you know, of people. Property management companies is going to be great. You know, I mean, many different ways to do it. I mean, lenders on the national platform is going to be great. I think the biggest thing is you got to put yourself in that environment, though.
Okay,
right?
and so how am I going to do that? So let's take the ones the categories that you just named and give us some examples on how we're going to go find those relationships, build those relationships, nurture those relationships.
This was like the hardest one when you asked me that, right? I was trying like, how do I convey it? How do we do it? And I had to look at all the times that we, you know, made those connections. And to be honest, it was not about going and knocking on the door and asking for business. It was being intentional about giving and being a servant and going out there and helping people, making those connections, traveling, going to the national conventions, putting yourself in the environment where you're going to have the opportunity to shake hands, kiss babies, be belly to belly. And most of our connections have happened like in the passing of the hallway, in the evening, you know, at dinner, you know, in the bathrooms, you know, we always talk about. Those are most of the times that we made the connection. So you have to be very intentional, right? Once again, I go back to, you know, opportunities just not going to drop in your lap, right? You have to make sure to go out there and be intentional and have those conversations to be able to have those opportunities, right? And you never know who you're going to be speaking with.
So
that's huge.
Can you give us an example, a story maybe? Someone that you met that just totally changed your business?
Yeah, absolutely. Biggest one was here in Vegas. You know, we were trying to be attracted to another national brand. And I told Sarah, and I've told her plenty of times as well, that, hey, you know what, I have to go here because there's an opportunity, right? I got to make sure that we have a seat at the table. Flew out to Vegas. Not understanding the environment that we were in, right? We understood the national brand that was there. We understood that we were being attracted, but we didn't understand when we had a possibility to go into a private mastermind up in the suite, you know, and there was about 30 people that were there. We didn't know who was who, you know, and walk out of the room, invited to go to dinner with like 10 people, right? We sat down, had dinner, still not knowing who was who. And turned out to be one of our largest hedge funds that we work with in regards to helping them out with tons of acquisitions. They do a lot of flips, a lot of buy and holds. And that relationship, just from flying out to Vegas for an opportunity, turned into making a connection with somebody who we never thought we'd have to do it. And we didn't even, I mean, to be honest, I thought Sarah was going to be mad at me because after we went to dinner, then they're like, well, let's go out to this nightclub. You know, they went out to this nightclub and, you know, they got this table booth. And I'm like, okay, I'm all right, you know, because I'm making connections. You know, I knew I was going to have to answer to somebody. You know, I'm in Vegas, you know. And so, but it was actually at the booth, you know, when they had, you know, they were dancing or whatever. And the other gentleman came up, he says, hey, I'm going to be in Sacramento next week. I want you to meet me at this property. I had no idea what they do, right? But I was like, I'll be there. You know, you want to meet at a property? I'll be there. You know, went back home, told her, you know, where I was at. She was okay with me. I didn't sleep on the couch when I got home, only because I made that relationship. But realized.
Lucky for you.
Yes, lucky for me.
For you, that turned
There's been times I slept on the couch, trust me. So, but made that relationship and did the homework and found out who they were. I mean, they were a national hedge fund buying properties in many different regions and many different markets, right? And so that's just a prime example, right? It's like you never know who you're going to meet with. But once again, you got to put yourself in those environments. You got to get out there. You have to network, not only to meet them, but to meet other agents, because the other agents that you're going to be collaborating with may have a connection, may have a referral partner, you know? Another prime example, like Mark back in the day, you know, he's like, hey, Gil, you need to come out to Tennessee, right? I'm like, I got to go where? You know, Tennessee. He's like, come out to Tennessee because, you know, I wanted you to meet you some people, right? Flew out to Tennessee, met with Mark and some people, and had the blessed opportunity to be introduced to like Dave Ramsey and the Dave Ramsey Network, and I mean, it's just like, you never know who you're going to meet, even if it's an agent, even if it's after hours. Be very intentional and have those conversations.
So are there some favorite conferences, organizations, community events? Give us some examples so the agents know when they leave here today, these are what they want to focus on in regards to how they can go about building some of these relationships.
Yeah, I would say any conventions, any associations that have gatherings, of people that are in the industry. We come here to collaborate. I mean, we got sponsors here for this event today. They're out here to collaborate. They're out here to conduct business, right? And so any conventions, even if you can't get away or don't have a wife like myself, like I do, that lets me go to Vegas, and you can get away locally, go to the local associations, go to the local events, the SARs, the young professionals, the NAREP events, the NORA events, anything that you could get out there and put yourself out there. But don't go out there thinking that you're just going to ask for business. Go out there with a heart to serve. Be intentional. Go out there to offer value, to help other people, because at the end of the day, he's going to take care of you at the end of the day.
Yes. Okay. So as we are getting, yes, I know, huge round of applause for that. 100%. So as we are wrapping up our conversation, I definitely want to give you plenty of time to express to everybody what is really the one message of hope that you want to stay with every agent who's here today looking for their next breakthrough.
Yes, I was prepared on this one because we were on the show 2 weeks ago. But what I didn't get to say, and it's true to our core, is, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to. We coach and train and speak to so many agents across the country now, being part of ROA, and so many are being held back to their true potential because they are afraid of rejection. They're afraid of, not having that conversation, right? And so if there's anything I can leave you guys with today, that is being okay with being uncomfortable. Get out there and don't be afraid, right? Get out there and shake hands and have those conversations, because I'll leave it with you is like those conversations, if we never had those conversations, we would have never had the opportunities that we have today. So be intentional, have those conversations, and don't be afraid.
All right, I love it.
Yes.
Be strong, courageous, be
Yes.
intentional.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, everybody, give Gil Torres a huge round of applause for being with us today. Thank you so much. Thank you, Gil. Thank you, Gil. Okay, and so now, our next iconic leader who truly, as you know, needs no introduction. Please help me welcome to the show the co-founder and president of Realty of America, Mr. Mark Dimas.
Thank you, thank you. All right. Oh, I'm in the hot seat.
You're in the hot seat.
How are you guys doing? Everybody good? Y'all getting value or what? All right.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for being on the show with us today, Mark.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Oh, we are incredibly grateful. So, of course, I have a highlight reel for you, too. Now, before I do that, do you have any big hellos and shout outs that you would like to make?
Of course, to Nikki. She's out there shopping for a dress, so thank you for supporting me. She'll be here tonight. My son, Marcelo, many of y'all know him. He's in Mexico with his nanny right now, Mala, so big shout out to Marcelo and my other 4 kids in Houston and Alaska. So, and to the Roa family, thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting. Right? Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so I am sure that everyone knows about your amazing career, but I'm just going to read off a couple of highlights. Okay, so since 2002, you have sold more than 10,000 homes. You have led the #1 large team in America, ranked by Real Trends. You've been recognized multiple times as the #1 realtor in the United States by NAREP. You've closed over 3,200 homes and $1 billion in sales in a single year. And today, you are leading the fastest growing real estate brokerage in history, alongside founder and CEO, who is here with us today, Mr. Eddie Garcia.
Let's go, Eddie.
Let's go, Eddie.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wouldn't have been able to do that by myself. Obviously, it's the Mark Dimas team. So it's our team. So big shout out to everybody that has helped me build this company together as far as my own personal production. And thank you for all the team that helped support us in the growth of Realty of America.
Yeah. Okay. So what we're going to do today, we thought it would be fun to turn you into Coach Mark. And the minute that everyone heard that you were going to be on the show, we were flooded with questions.
Right.
So I have in front of me questions from agents across the nation. So we are going to do a little rapid fire. How does that sound?
Well, anybody knows that if you ever hear me talk, it's less than rapid, so, but let's go ahead and let's try it, so.
All right, let's go. So our first question, your former listing partner and managing broker, who's also part of Realty of America, said you're one of the best negotiators he's ever known.
Well,
so the
you.
question is, what is your philosophy on negotiating and the idea behind how to close the gap?
All right. By the way, big shout out to Kyle Jefferson. He was my very first listing agent for Mark Dimas' team. He was the one that took me out of production. On the team, he signed and closed over 1,000 listings at Mark Dimas' team. So big shout out to Kyle. In negotiations, I think that a lot of people have negotiations wrong. Whenever I get deals sometimes, and when I'm a listing agent, buyers send me offers, no matter how low the offer is, I'm going to thank them because I'm thankful that they're interested in this deal. The last thing you're ever going to get from me is, that's ridiculous. How could you ever send me such a lowball offer? That's the wrong way to start negotiations. That's a wrong way to develop the right reputation in the industry. Most people work with the Mark Dimas team in Houston, Texas, because we have that philosophy that there is a win-win. Now, in reality, there's always somebody that's going to have a slight edge, but the seller wants to sell, the buyer wants to buy. Your job is to help facilitate that, not get involved, not enter your ego or your emotions in it. You're not the one who's selling it. You're not the one who's, possibly behind on bills, or you don't know where they are in. By the way, that's super loud. Sorry, I'm hearing my own echo. You don't know what their position is to assume that you can make the decision for their family on what's the best deal for them. And on the buyer side, you can't assume that their goals in owning a property is your goals. I'm actually helping my daughter buy her very first home. My middle daughter's the last adult kid that I have that's going to be buying real estate. And I had my opinions on the lot, the location, different things, and I gave it to her. And her husband, Daniel, it's Faith and Daniel, and I was like, these are my opinions, but you're the one who's going to live in this house. So if you like this house, everything that I don't like about the house, I will work on negotiating the price. So when it's time for you to sell the home, you don't have to deal with, that there's a street in the backyard, or that the bedroom doesn't have a separate shower or a garden tub or whatever that is, right? So don't get in the way of that. Secondly is in negotiations, I love to boost up the other party. So for example, let's say Gil sends me an offer. I would tell Gil, hey Gil, thank you so much for the offer. I really appreciate it. I know we're going to get this done. You have a great reputation in the industry. So let's get to going. What have I done? I've thanked him for the offer. I've edified him by telling him, I heard that you have a great reputation. I've also manifested in the future that this is going to be a great negotiation. You had asked a question, and I'm sorry I'm going off on a tangent, but you had asked a question when it came to, what about people who say, I can't do this, I can't get there? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Right? So it's always got to be that I know this deal is going to happen, and if for some reason it doesn't, well, then that's just a lesson to prepare me for the next negotiation that I'm going to have on this exact deal. You also asked the question on focusing on the gap. I think too many people think about where they started. Sellers do that as well. We listed at $1 million, now we're at $800,000, and now the guy wants to offer me $50,000 off. They're always thinking about where they started at. Same thing with agents. You know, they're thinking the same thing as a listing agent specifically. Buyer's agent comes in, and you're thinking, oh, you came off 20,000. Where for me, I always focus on where are we? You came off 20,000. I came back at 5,000. So what are we? We're 15,000 away. 15,000 divided by 2, 7,500. We're $7,500 away. $750, $7,500 away divided by 2. I don't know, 3,750 or some number like that. There's a point where it's going to be, are you going to kill this deal, Ashley, for $1,500? Because I'm not. Let's figure out a way to make it work. Let's get everybody involved. Let's talk to the title company. Let's talk to the lender. Let's talk to the insurance person. Let's all throw skin in the game to make sure that the seller and the buyer work it out. Because in the end, you know what I also want? I want referrals. I also want you, you know, and who remembers, well, everybody remembers, if you were in business during COVID, across the country, what did we deal with? Multiple offers. Who had listings that had more than 40 offers on a property? Who had listings that had more than 60 offers on a property? Think about it. 60, 50, 100. You know what we specialized in at the Mark Dimas team? We were the buyers. We represented buyers that actually contracted on the house, where the other 49, 50, 60 offers didn't get a chance. And one of the biggest reasons that my agents would tell me is that, Mark, thank you so much for all the good business you've done in the last 20 years, because when they saw the contract come over from us, they knew that we would be easy to deal with. We're not pushovers, but we're easy to deal with because we're collaborative, and we're going to get the job done. And what do agents want? When you're thinking about 60 offers or 10 offers or 3 offers, your fear as an agent or a seller is picking the wrong offer. So if you have a good experience with an agent who's 90% closing ratio, then you might go to that client because of that agent, even though the offer is less attractive financially or by terms than the other 10 offers. So what is that concept? Make more friends. The more friends you have in the industry, the better. I say this with confidence. No matter where I am in the industry, if somebody talks bad about me, it's because they don't know me. Mm-hmm. Because I have a lot of people that I've done very, very good business for and with, that they look to us as saying, hey, we want to work with you. And that's the reason why my business has been able to scale.
So you mentioned a little bit ago the word manifest.
Yeah.
That actually is on your license plate.
It is.
Yes. So we did have a question that came in. Agents would love to know why your license plate says manifest.
You know, I think there's 2 reasons on that, and I didn't prepare for this. You know, I will say that Ashley sent me all the questions at 10 o'clock last night. I looked at them briefly and said, this is my life. I'll just come up and I'll answer as it comes to me, so bear with me. There's 2 things. Number 1 is a reminder to myself that I'm the main character in my movie. You guys are all side characters in my movie. But you're the main character in your movie. You're the main character in your movie. You're the main character in your movie. I'm a side character in your movie. You have the decision to be able to choose to be a top producer or a no producer. But if you choose to be a top producer, then you have to live the life of a top producer. Your actions, your mindset, everything. And guess what? Manifestation is, let me put it in different terms. It's goal setting. It's putting out the vision of where I'm going to go. It's prayer, you know, but it's prayer believing. It's putting out the vision believing. It's manifesting believing that in the end it will happen. It may not happen the way I think it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. So anything that comes my way where I'm in a valley, that license plate reminds me, this is for you. This is not happening to you. This is happening for you. There's times when you think that losing that deal, the opportunity, the job, the house you wanted to buy, whatever it is, that, man, I lost it. Things happened to me. No, but then you look back and you go, man, if I would have done that, the direction would not be here. People ask me all the time, what would you do different? Absolutely nothing. because I wouldn't have my son. I wouldn't have my partners or my friends or the business that I had if I did anything different in my life. So therefore, that manifestation is for me to say, hey, remember, you're on the right track no matter how far you go down. You know, life is a series of ups and downs, right? Sometimes you're at your highs, you're making all the money you can ever think of, and then you're at the bottom where you're going, I don't know if I'm going to be able to continue with my business. I don't know if I'm going to have to lay people off. I don't know what I'm going to do to pay the bills. But if you step back and you look at your graph of life and it looks like this, to where it started here, but it ends here, it doesn't matter how far the lows go. They're there to get you prepared for what it takes and what human being you have to be in order to have this type of success, this type of pressure, this type of responsibility. You know, for those who know that when you're given much, much is expected, right? And sometimes you have to be tested with the little things to know that you're going to be okay with doing the big things.
Yes. One of my favorite quotes, pressure is a privilege.
Pressure is a privilege. I love that.
Pressure is a privilege.
By the way, did I answer your question? Because I'm not sure if I...
100%.
Okay.
100%.
Second thing, did I... And the other thing is for others. I had I love playing cards, by the way. I love playing poker. I was at a card house in Houston just last week, and I stepped out. I was leaving, and the guy was outside, and he goes, "Is this your car?" And I was like, "Yes." And he goes, "Your license plate like gave me this new sense. I know I'm at the right place at the right time. I'm playing this new tournament. It's a $50,000 guarantee." He goes, "When I saw that," he goes, "I knew that this is for me." So the license plate is not just for me. It's for others to know that, hey, that could be the sign that you need. You know, there's signs that are out there. I believe that we're spiritual beings having human experience. I believe that there's more to this life than just here. And so because of that, there's things that happen that you have to recognize. I'll give you an example. And a contradiction, but not in a bad way. I think it was Gil who said, business doesn't fall from the sky. I would tell you, don't believe that. Business does fall from the sky. You know, it does, because it comes from, you know, the abundance, the energy, the universe, God. It comes from the sky. You just have to accept it. So I had a client that called me. This was early on in my career, so I didn't even think about it until decades later, right? But I had and I've told this story before, I had a widow. She had only owned one home. Her husband took care of everything. I think there were 50 years in that one house. When they bought it was probably $30,000. She did nothing to buy the home or anything. Her husband took care of all the bills, everything. And she said, I was looking to sell it. I needed to sell it because I needed to go into a retirement home. And I go on a morning walk, and I just prayed to God, because she goes, I don't have any friends. All my friends have passed. I don't have any friends that have realtors. I've never used a realtor. I've only bought one home in my life. I didn't know who I was going to use. So I was walking, and I just prayed to God, will you please send a realtor my way that can help me? And as soon as she was done with the prayer, she looked down in the street. My business card was in the street. And then when she called me, you know, the first question I asked is, how'd you find me? And she told me that story. So that's why I say, yes, business does come from the sky. You manifest it, you help people, and there you go. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's talk about
Thank you.
For sure.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about the market for a minute. In a seller's market, agents would love to know what your strategy would be to get your listing sold for the most money in the shortest amount of time.
Oof, man, you know what? I'm a seller myself right now. I'm closing on my house. It's been on the market. It was been on the market like, I think 4 months. We're closing in 2 weeks. So, you know, I'm thankful for that. That's a big win. You know, with that, I think there's 3 things that sell a house. And those 3 things are condition, price, and marketing. Everything falls in those categories. And let me explain it. You could have a house in the best location with the best condition, but if it's priced $100 million overpriced, it's never going to sell, right? You can have the best location, the worst, you can have the best of everything. And if nobody knows it's for sale, it's not marketed, and it's got the best price, best location, conditions great, but then nobody knows it's for sale, then it's not going to sell. And vice versa. Everything lies on price and marketing. So number one is you have to make sure that you're doing everything in your power to advertise, market the property. And there's so many different things you can do. I'm preaching to the choir, but at minimum, you have to have professional photography, full color brochures, 3D Matterports, a nice website just for the property, video walkthroughs, all the data and all that. But then you have to market it correctly, use your socials, your influence, broker open houses and all those things. But I think ultimately it's making sure that your client knows that you're a partner with them and that all the information that you guys are going to be talking about is to better them, to get them to the finish line. I was talking to Eddie about this. Eddie's a great mentor and coach to me as well. And he was telling me, there's a thought process that people go when it comes to the market. And it's a denial process. And I went through it. It's like, hey, here are the comps. I paid this much for the house 2 years ago. I want to at least get this to break even. The comps are $200,000 less, $100,000 less. But I'm thinking to myself, my house is different. My house is better. I bought this, I bought that. So I'm slightly in denial on the price, but I want to go ahead and put it on the market. So I put it on the market. I don't get any showings, or I don't get any offers. So then I'm telling myself, well, is it me, or is it the market? Is it pricing, or is it the buyers? Then I drop the price a little bit. I drop the price a little bit. So that's how sellers think as well, right? They have a price in mind. Maybe they're a little unsure of what you think the market should be at and what they think they can sell it at. So there's this discrepancy there. But then it takes time for them to start losing and losing, for their minds to accept that, hey, this is what it's going to be. I'm not going to make as much money. And if I continue with doing what I've been doing, which is keeping the house on the market at a high price, I'm just going to lose every month, and it's going to get worse and worse and worse. You get out of the denial, you come into acceptance, and you make a decision. Some of us can do that on their own. I did it on my own because I'm the broker, I'm the owner, I'm the seller. But most sellers will not be able to do that on their own. They need somebody who they can trust. So in order to sell a house, it has to do with your partnership with the seller to say, hey, here are the moves, here's what we've done. Now we've already tested the market. Let's work on either condition, price, or marketing. Sometimes it's all of them. And if you have that partnership and they trust what you're going to do, then they make the deal and it's all going to work out. So, yeah.
All right, perfect. So let's talk about teams. A team leader gave me this exact scenario. He said, I'm closing 200 to 300 deals a year, and I would like to add 4 to 10 agents to my team. How do I do that quickly and without skipping important steps?
When I think of that is the quickly part, right? I think that if you rush into things, doing things too quickly, then you fail at really the process is to do it the correct way. I would say this, there's so many different types of teams. So I'm going to talk from the perspective of my type of team. So I believe that the evolution of a team is this. You're an amazing agent, and you have first class as one of your values. You have the fiduciary of your client as one of your strongest values. You have confidence. You do the right steps. And what's going to happen when you're working with these clients? They're going to love you. And what are they going to do 5 or 7 years from now when they want to buy or sell again? They're going to call you and use you. And what's going to happen when their friends say, I want to buy and sell a house? They're going to refer that business to you. And there's only so much time in a day. And as you continue to do business, every year your business should increase of a scale of, let's say, 20%. I like to use the scale of 20% a year. If that's happening, there'll be a time when you need to leverage. And then you're going to have to start building a team. So what's the key reason that I'm building a team? The key reason is because I have too much business that I can't service. The wrong concept to build a team is to say, I'm closing 100 deals on my own. In order for me to close 200, I need to hire these two guys who are closing 50 deals each, and now I got 200. That's not the way that I think of a team. I think of a team that the team leader, in my scenario, by the way, let me give a disclaimer. I'm not saying other team models are wrong. I'm saying this is the way that I think about my team. When I add team members, it's because I have too much business to service that business at a first-class level. So I don't care that he sells any homes. Actually, I want him to sell as many homes that I give him, right? I'm not bringing him on to add 50 deals to my team. I'm bringing him on to add 50 deals to his bottom line. And that helps me. So it's easy to, if I've got 200 deals, so the thing is this, if I'm closing 300 deals, how many deals am I losing? And if I could say, man, I lost 50 deals, well, then it's easy to bring 5 people on to just tell them, if you're not selling any houses, I'll say, how would you like an extra 10 deals? How would you like to make an extra $150,000 a year this year? And all you got to do is service my clients. Easy to bring over. Now, if I'm saying, hey, come over here, we're going to mastermind, and I want you to give me your money. Different scenario. You want something from somebody, give to them first. Right? So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to keep on the same path. So another question that a team leader asked is how you would go about building the most profitable team today, especially with the variety of models, as you just mentioned, that there are. And this agent really wanted to dive into the different splits that are available. So how would you kind of frame that? How would you build the most profitable team today?
I would just say there's so much that's packed into that, right? I would say 2 things. And this comes from learning over the years of building a team wrong, even though we did great, but just the evolution of that. Number 1 is all your support staff should be W-2. They should be W-2. They should get, because you have, and everybody needs to understand what the DISC profile is. I know a lot of you do know what it is, but there's also a lot of people that don't understand what the DISC profile is. It's a personality test, DISC, drivers, influence, steadiness, the engineering side. That's how I say it. And with that, most support staff lies in more of a, they want more stability than they want to go out and kill what they eat. Meaning if they wanted to do that, they'd become salespeople with unlimited income. But, the support, most of them, they want more of a security. Right? So you got to be ready to say, hey, I'm going to put you on as a salary to help. That's number 1. Because if you're going to be profitable, you can't be profitable if you're always giving away 5%, 10%, 15%, 20% of a deal. Think about business. If you think about a big corporation or a company and you look at their bottom lines after they take their revenue and they take all their expenses out and everything, they're left with the 15%, 10, 15, maybe 20% net. Very easy to have a 50% net when there's 2 of you in a company. But if you're spending billions, millions, and all that type of money, man, the margins get cut. So can you imagine if somebody gave away 15% of company revenue, top line revenue, and they're only making 10% bottom line revenue? That means you'll never become profitable. So if you started off and say, hey, salary, so that's 1, on all your support needs to be salary. And then I believe that if you're this team leader that's giving all the business, so if I'm giving you all the business, then I'm going to be looking at it more like a 50-50 split, right? I'm giving you the business and you're doing the work. Just like if you're flipping a house, if I give you all the money, you got no money, but you got all the experience. And I say, look, I'm going to give you all the money. You pick whatever you want. You do this. I want 50% of the revenue. You might be like, okay, Mark, you're taking all the financial risk, but you're giving me all the operational authority. Then that's a good deal for y'all until you're ready to jump out on your own. So a profitable business should be somewhere between, 50% to the team leader, 50% to the agent. And some people might think, man, 50% is a lot of money. Well, remember my model. You're coming here to make money. I'm not bringing a team member over hey, you're closing 200 deals, join my team. Why would you want to join my team if you're closing 200 deals? You're going to want to start your own team. But if you're brand new and closing 5 deals a year and I could take you to 15 or 20, and you could stay with me for a few years, you can learn the business. Because here's what happens when you come to work at Dimas' team. You will learn in 1 year what it'll take you 20 years to learn somewhere else. Mm-hmm. Because the average real estate agent sells 7 deals. The average team is probably like 30 deals a year. My biggest month was 790 houses in 1 month. The TC that operated in that month got 50 years of experience in a month. Why? What do we know about real estate? It may take you 20 deals to get that specific issue where the title, some schedule, C, B, whatever the letters are, is off, or you couldn't get a deal done, and then you figure out the workaround on it to say, oh, here's how you get it done. Well, if that's only happening once every 3 years or 4 years, it's really hard to get good. But if it's happening every week, then hey, I can get good at these things, and you gather that experience. Mm-hmm. So hopefully that answers the question.
Absolutely. So this next question.
And it's not clap. This is good. Good stuff, right? All right. Hype me up.
Okay, so this was by far the most popular question. So all the agents across the country would love to know, what is the first step that you would take today to create relationships and do business with large institutions, such as banks with REOs and hedge funds?
Okay, so y'all know the story on how I got involved in hedge funds? If you don't, one person raise your hand if you don't know the story, and I'll tell it. All right, there you go. This is for you. Okay, so my first national convention, California. I'm going to cut it short. Driving down the Pacific Coast Highway, the most beautiful highway, in my opinion, in the United States, overlooks the Pacific Ocean. Started in Santa Monica, took a right, headed towards, that's Malibu, right? Mm-hmm. Taking a right, headed towards Malibu. Driving with no reason but just to enjoy the drive. And there was a cyclist. He was hitchhiking. He had 3 flat tires and a dead cell phone. A cyclist, so he had his bike, he had his little helmet. And I passed him up, and I'm a person that helps people, but I've never really pulled over to the side of the road and picked up anybody or anything like that. But when I passed him up, I had this voice in my head, God, I would assume this said, hey, nobody's going to pick him up, go pick him up. That's how clear the voice is. Sometimes the voice in your head is so clear, it's as if they're sitting right next to you. So I drive, and just so happened to be, in my mind, I was like, if he's still there, when I turn back around, I'll pick him up. Because we're always trying to fight, like not doing some extra work, even tying my shoes. I'm like, do I need to really tie them? It just so happened to be, this is the part, and I'm going to relive this because I'm going to take this drive again. It's like you pass like the water, and then all of a sudden there's two. It's almost like the road passes through two, like a mountain that they cut in half. What would you call that? A canyon? But it's small. It wasn't really tall. Probably the highest. Maybe one of them was as high as this building. And when I passed, it started going inland, and it started looking very industrial, or maybe like a lot of power lines and stuff. It just wasn't pretty anymore. So I was like, this is the time. I'm going to make a U-turn. And it was literally maybe 10 blocks away from when I dropped him off. Where I passed him up. He was still there. I picked him up. He happened to be on a 60-mile bike ride. He's an extreme marathon sports kind of guy. And he was like, man, thank you so much for picking me up, because I was about to take a long walk to my car because my cell phone's dead. And he goes, I went through 3 flat tires. And I was like, oh, come on in, man. This is great. And he was a super nice guy. We just started talking. His name is Ryan Taylor. I never ask anybody what they do for a living. But it was like I had this little angel. Rick Brinkus is from Vegas. Y'all know Rick Brinkus? Let's give a shout out to Rick Brinkus, because Rick Brinkus, he's with Keller Williams. He owns 10 or, I don't know, he owns the world at Keller Williams over there. He's amazing. He was my coach. And in my opinion, my best coach at that time in my life, because he actually did more volume than I did at the time. And it was like little Rick Brinkus right here saying, ask him what he does for a living. And I never asked people what they do for a living before this time, because I didn't want people to ask me what I did for a living, because all I did was real estate, and I didn't want to talk real estate anymore. I had so much business coming in that if I added more business, I would have to start building a team. And at this time, I wanted my peace, but I just did. I looked in the rearview mirror. I saw Ryan. I said, hey, man, what do you do for a living? And he says, I'm in finance. I said, oh, great. And in my head, I was like, oh, good. That question's done. I don't even know what that means, And he goes, what about you? And I said, oh, I'm in real estate. And he goes, oh, I'm in real estate finance. And I said, oh, you mean like those hedge funds that buy thousands of houses and then rent them? And he goes, how did you know that? And I said, well, you're in the car with the top 20 realtor in the country. I'm supposed to know these things. We laughed it off. And then he just said, yeah, man, I was just in Dallas. When I told you I was in Dallas, he goes, we bought 800 homes last month. This is a time in 2011 when nobody had ever bought 800 homes that you would ever hear about that was not through a portfolio deal. I mean, nowadays, people hear about somebody closing 500 deals, 1,000 deals. 50. Back then, if you closed 100 deals, you were the top in your market, right? That's just how it was back then. And so I said, hey, if you ever need any help, I'm in Houston, Texas. I would love to help you. So what did I do? I just went for the close. I've got him in the car. I'm going to drop him off. He just bought 800 homes. I'm just going to at least ask for the close in a nice way. Hey, if you ever need any help, I'm here to assist you. And here's what he said. Mark, I don't make any decisions on the boots on the ground. I just handle the money. What does that mean? He makes some decisions. Who doesn't make the decisions? Who handles the money? Right? So, but he doesn't know me. I don't know him that well. And I dropped him off, and he says, Mark, you know what? I'll put a good word in for you. He sends me an email. We exchange. He said, thank you so much. Hey, make sure you visit Venice. Make sure you do this. I said, I appreciate it. I sent him an email back. And just at my bottom of my email, it said, #1 realtor, Wall Street Journal, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Because I think you should let people know your accomplishments, no matter how small they are. You be #1 in your neighborhood. And guess what? Say it with pride. I'm #1 in my neighborhood, right? Look, we didn't start Realty America to be #2. We will be #1. And that's the mindset you have to have. You have to have, but it starts being #1 in this market or that market, or #1 here and there. And guess what? Those wins will continue to go. So where was I? Somebody tell me where I was. So I picked him up. I did what?
He's going to put in a good word for you.
Send me the email. Let's go. Y'all are listening. I'm clapping for you guys now. So he sends me the email. I send it back. He says, you know what? I'm gonna put a good word in for you. That Monday, I get a call. The call went like this. It went, hey, Mark, this is Gabe Knox. Gabe Knox, shout out to him. It's amazing. My boss got a call from his boss, something about a hitchhiker, California. You got 3 minutes. Make it fast. Literally, that was the call. You have 3 minutes. Make it fast. So I said, hey, I heard you bought 800 homes in Dallas, and and before I could say it, let me stop you right there. You have no shot at working for us. I got the 3 best agents in all of Houston that already we've hired. And I'm thinking in my head, what do you mean the 3 best agents? I'm not on the list. Right? I'm like, well, who are these 3 agents that I've never even heard of, So I was like, well, how can I help you? And he was like, well, you can't get on the MLS, but send me some off-market deals, and we'll see what we can do. So I took the next 24 hours. I did not sleep. I put together a list of 27 homes off-market. How did I get them? From my property management. I just put them on the list because I know, guess what? All my sellers on my property management will sell if they get the right offer. All the pre-MLS listings, and then I made phone calls. Hey, Creston, you got anything? Hey, Julie, you got any homes? Anybody that I can call on with that time, I sent them 27 homes on a spreadsheet. I put the Google Maps, I put the comps. I put everything that you could put on a sheet that a buyer can make a decision. He sent me offers the same day, 50 cents on the dollar. This is 2011, end of 2011. What's happening in 2011 in Houston? We just got out of the crash. Houses are now selling at 95, 93%, not 60, 70% of value. And he's sending me an offer at 50 cents. What did I tell you in the beginning? Thank you. Exactly. So he calls me up, and by the way, this is important. When you're on the phone, you always smile. Because you know what I saw when he called me? He goes, what do you think about those offers? And I saw this smirk on his face. Because he was a test. But guess what? If you have that same smirk on your face when you're talking to clients, they can still see it. So that's just a lesson. Make sure that you're always smiling on the phone. And I said, hey, Gabe, I appreciate the offers. I said, unfortunately, in this current market, my sellers wouldn't entertain that offer because they can get a lot more on the market. I said, however, it's not you that's the problem. It's me. I said that you bought 800 homes in Dallas. Tell me what you bought, and I will find it for you. And then he said, can you be in Dallas tomorrow? I went to Dallas, met with him, and he says, you know what, Mark, I like you. He said, the reason is I sent you the offers, and you didn't complain about it. He goes, I told you you couldn't be part of the team, and it didn't stop you. And he goes, I don't know if this will help you, but I'm going to add you to the team, but you have to give the other 3 agents 3 days on the market. If there's anything left on the bone on the MLS, you can go ahead and make an offer on it for us. And then what happened 6 months later? I took 60% market share with 3 days on the market. They fired 2 of the agents. I became the lead agent. They gave me Dallas, Texas. And I went from selling 200 homes that year to the next year I sold 500, then 700, then 1,200, then 1,500, then 1,700, 3,000 houses. And now I've had as my client some of the biggest, the biggest hedge funds in the country. And that all came from an act of kindness. So I know it's a long way. You remember I told you that there ain't no quick fire questions with me. So that's how I got into the hedge fund space. But how do you get into the hedge fund space now? One of my biggest philosophy of real estate or business is this. All things being considered equal, people what? Like to do business with their friends. Right? You're the top agent. Your other guy's the top agent. You're going after a seller, but the seller is your friend. Who's going to get the deal? You are. All things not being equal. You're the number 10th agent in the market. There's a number 1 agent in the market. You're going after the same listing, but the listing is your friend. Who's going to get the deal? You are your friend, because people like to do business with their friends. Here's the little asterisk at the bottom. You don't need more tools. You don't need more systems. You don't need more incentives, any of this opportunity. You know what you need? You need more friends. If you need more friends, the business will come. Why do people want to do business with Gil? Because all of a sudden a friend will tell, hey, we should do business. Why did I take Gil to Tennessee? I forgot about the story. I said, hey, man, you need to come to Tennessee. Do they need anybody in Tennessee? I don't know. I don't know, but guess what? You're not going to know unless you come with me, because how am I going to tell them how great you are if you're not there in the room to show them how great you are yourself? Mm-hmm. So I said, just come with me because they like me. And if they like me, I think they'll give you an opportunity. And we went to the Dave Ramsey convention. I introduced them to, who was the celebrity back then? His name was Chris.
I don't remember his last name.
Oh, man, he used to be a football player. He's a motivational speaker. But anyways, I introduced him to the crew. He ends up getting signed up with the Dave Ramsey program. Are you still with them right now?
Yeah.
And I've been with Dave Ramsey since 2010. And I've eaten at Dave Ramsey's house because I was his number 1 agent in the entire country. 27 27.5% seller closing ratio lifetime on all leads that I got. 27.5%. And how did I get those listings? Because if you call me on the phone and you're a seller, guess what the first thing I'm going to make you before we get off the phone? A friend. And that's it. So how do you get the business on, how do you get institutional business? How do you get this? You have to make friends. Well, how do you make friends with those people? Well, you got to find people that are actually friends with them so that you can become friends and get in the circle, and or you got to go where they go. I'm going to tell you this. I was at the biggest hedge fund conference is IMN. Biggest hedge fund conference. I was there in Phoenix last week, and there were only 800 people at that conference. Why? Because hedge funds are buying right now because the interest rates are so high. When the conference is popping, it's 3,000 to 5,000. So where do you want to go to meet friends? When there's 5,000 people in the room all trying to beg for business, or when there's 800 and nobody's begging for business? You want to go make some good friends? I think that conference has more money than any other conference, I would assume, because these are people who are backed by $200 billion hedge funds, $500 billion, $1 trillion hedge funds, that like our BlackRocks and things like that. You're meeting people and you'll realize that you're sitting next to somebody who runs a multi-billion-dollar fund, and you feel like y'all been friends for a long time because people are people. And so if they like you, then you just say, hey, Henish, if you ever need anything, man, I'm here for you. Whatever you need. You need comps, you need CMA, you need somebody to go look at a property, I'll do it for you. I'm here as a resource. If I can get some business out of it, great. But if I can help you, if I can put you in the right place, you need anybody, contacts, I've given out $1 million contracts. What is a $1 million contract? That means I've introduced people to people who in a year, they will help them make $1 million because they give them so much business. And what does that do for me? Now I got a friend that owes me a lot, right? So if I ever go homeless, hey, I got a room at your house, bro. And for my client who needed help, I've introduced him to an amazing agent, to help that. Chris Kelly's in our front row. Everybody give a head of our partnership. Chris Kelly was 5 years at Open Door. 5 years at Open Door. Well, I think one of the good things that I did was I developed a friendship. And he would call me and be like, hey, Mark, I'm opening up this market. Do you know anybody? I would just, yes, I know somebody here or there. I'd connect them together. And I would just say, hey, hopefully it works out for you. I know this is a good character. So now he's relying on me to help him complete what he needs to do. My friends now are making deals. I'm getting the opportunity. That's how you do it. You got to be in those rooms. REO, so what are the things that you need to look at right now? REO, there's so many defaults coming up. All loans originated in 2020 and 21, or is it 21 and 22, I think? All originated loans in 21 and 22 that are FHA are 25% in default. All loans originated 2021 and 2022 that are FHA, 25% are in default. What does that mean? There's an opportunity because guess what? There's a lot of sellers right now that need help on short sale. There's a lot of sellers that need help that they don't even need a short sale because they do have equity. They just have their heads in the sand. So they need somebody to show them what the next, what the next thing that they should do to get out of this. There's a lot of banks right now that probably don't have the agents in their REO network because all the REO agents are gone because there wasn't any business, that are looking for people. I just got back from 5-Star. Alex and I were at 5-Star. I don't know if Alex is in here, but we're at 5-Star. What's 5-Star? It's one of the biggest REO conferences. What is REO? Real estate owned, bank owned foreclosures. There were like 600 people in that conference. That's usually a 5,000 person conference. I was talking to the biggest asset manager. They gave 4,000 listings out in the last 12 months. 4,000 across the country. So REO is still there. It's just not 40,000. And he goes, it was crazy. He goes, years ago, I'd have lines of people begging me, hey, can I get into the... He goes, I haven't had one person come up to me and ask me, hey, can I help you do any business? So you want to go somewhere? Be in those rooms. but also be there to make friends, because people don't just want to use you because, oh, you're the number one agent. Come up to a guy who's a hedge fund that's running a $200 billion fund and tell him, I'm the number one agent, I'll do this and that. And he'll be like, and what? And so? But you make friends with them. It doesn't matter if you close 50 deals that year. You're probably going to get the deal. So by the way, there's going to be a special guest at our party tonight. Ryan Taylor, the hitchhiker that I picked up, is flying in at 4 o'clock.
That's awesome.
And at that time, he ran a $4 billion hedge fund. And anybody want to guess how big the hedge fund is now? I keep throwing out the number. 200 billion. That's a guy you want to make friends with. And you'll find out the guy is just a normal guy like all of us, wanting to have friends, wanting to spend time with his family, wanting to make a good living for himself and everybody around him. He wants to be appreciated, loved, and that's all you got to do. You do that, and guess what? He's going to refer people, and maybe he can't give me a deal right now, but one of his friends will. We're trying to put a big project together, and it's over a $200 million listing. Right, $200 million listing. My biggest listing I've ever sold was $7 million, and that was just here recently. And I was talking to him. I was having dinner with him in Venice Beach, about a month ago, and I told him about this listing. He says, "Hey man, send it to me." And he goes, "There's only 4 or 5 of us in the United States that could buy that deal, and I'm one of them." And he said this, "And if I can't buy it, the other 4 are my friends." Yeah. So that's how you do the deal. That's how you get the business done. Okay.
All right.
You guys getting value here? All right, cool. I know we're probably going long, so thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Okay, so we had a lot of team leaders ask this question. They would like to know how they can scale faster with more intention. So what would you have them focus on if they want to scale faster with more intention?
I think you'll scale faster if you have intention. Right? Put it out there. And also I think a lot of times you need to evaluate like speed, where the business is coming from, and whether or not you really should grow that fast. Because a lot of teams grow too fast. They grow without culture, they grow without leadership, they grow without training, and they grow without leads. And then if you're trying, leads are, in my opinion, are the reason why a team thrives, is because a team leader is the rainmaker and they're bringing in the business. Because there's only so much that motivating somebody and powwowing and masterminding, because if you can't put food on the table, then all the other stuff doesn't matter. You got to start being able to put food on the table, and then you help that person. How do you take that to the next level, So it's not always about the numbers. It's about how to survive through all of the ups and downs. I mean, I'm 30 years in the business now in real estate. I'm 23 years in traditional real estate, but I got started in real estate 30 years ago. And so I've seen not all the downturns, but I've seen some big ones. And fortunately, my team is still doing well. Fortunately, we have a great group of leaders that I'm no longer in the business on the day-to-day. I have a 7-level business. Which means that I don't have to be there to operate, make the decisions. The team self-sufficiently runs because of what we put together, and they have the same values and culture and initiatives and drive to become successful. So I think that you just have to evaluate. I really think speed only happens when you have too many leads. I talked to Eddie about things like, hey, we need to speed this up. Why? Well, we got all these leads that need to be dealt with, not, hey, let's build this up so then we can figure out where to get leads from. No, first get the leads, be overwhelmed, work 15, 16 hours a day, get through it, and then start hiring people. Hire slowly, fire fast. So don't hire fast, hire slow. Fire fast is what you should do.
Okay, so in today's market, what would you do to double your business next year?
I never looked at doubling my business ever. I always looked at increasing my business by 20%. I also think about your big goals shouldn't be so out of reach that you're trying to go from 200 deals to 400 deals. unless you already see the business coming. Why don't you go from 200 deals to 240 deals, 250 deals? That's not bad. Every 5 years, you're going to double your business. So I wouldn't know how to double your business unless you're doing one deal. Okay, now if you're doing one deal, we're going to show you how to 10x your business, right? So it's all relative. Everything's relative to the amount of deals you're doing. Because if you're doing 10 deals, you got plenty of time. Before you start a team, you truly could operate at the highest level and close 50, 60 deals on your own every year. 5 deals a month. I mean, I know it's a lot to some people, but when you really start doing it and you get the systems in and you understand how to prioritize things, then 5 deals a month is not a lot. So I think some people try to scale too quickly. So 20% is the number you should go for. That's my opinion on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to bring Kyle back into this conversation.
Okay. Yeah. I love Kyle.
Because I know that you gave him a lot of homework at one point in his career. So we thought it would be great to ask you, what are some books or some podcasts that really made a huge difference in your career?
Okay. And I'll say this, I probably have, a few hundred books in my Audible right now. So it depends on where I am in my career. Right? That's going to determine what books are important to you and which makes the most impact. But I'll give you, how many do you want? 5?
Just
I'll give you 5 books that come off the top of my head that I believe will help you in any point of your business. The number one that most people have heard about, and a lot of people have read, but you should make it probably every 2 years reading it or every 3 years, is How to Win Friends and Influence People. That's the number one. If you only read that book and no other book, you'll be successful. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Dale Carnegie. That's the heart of it, right? Like I said, you don't need more tools, you don't need more systems, you need more friends. If you can get more friends, you'll be successful in that. Second book I would read is Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. Because with the compound effect, it explains that, hey, continue to do the daily tasks even though you don't see the results. Because if you continue to do it and do it and do it, then you'll see all of a sudden the graph goes like, and then boom. Why? Because you're being consistent. That shares it. It's about losing weight. It's about making money. It's about spending time with the family. Compound effect. Number 3, Essentialism. I don't remember the author, but Essentialism. It's basically a book about how to stay focused on one thing. Gary Keller has a book called The One Thing. In my opinion, Essentialism is the advanced college version of The One Thing. Very, very good. 4th book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Excuse my language. But that is one of the best books, in my opinion. I think it basically shares with you the things that you should be concentrating on and not clouding your mind with the things that don't make the difference. Success, in my opinion, is very, very easy to conceptualize in this point in a Venn diagram. Venn diagram is when you're able to take these circles and you put them together, and then where they meet, it shows you like whatever. It's like a formula. It gives you an answer. It's number 1 in one circle, things that I can control, and in the other circle, things that matter. There's lots of things that matter. Who the president is, where you're going to spend your weekend, who you marry, what kind of job you have. There's lots of things. And then there's, what was that one? That was the things that matter, right? Things in control, things that you can control. There's lots of things you can control. Who you vote for, what kind of toothpaste you use, what car you drive, who your spouse is, right? All those things control. But where does success lie? It lies in the middle. Things that you can control that matter. Before the president is elected, vote. After the president is elected, you're not going to kick him out of office or her out of office. Why cloud your mind on things that you can't change when you can use that energy to focus on how to build your destiny for your family, right? Don't let your opinions get in the way of your family's money. That's what I say. Don't let your opinions get in the way of your legacy. So control the things that are important to you, and that's where success lies.
Okay. So last question, and then maybe we'll open it up to the audience to do a few live Q&As. So when you look back over your career, what's one of the hardest decisions you've ever made that ended up accelerating your growth the most?
This is innately hard for me to answer as well. I'm one of those people that forgets a lot of trauma that happens in my life. I'm one of the guys that forgets a lot of people that have wronged me. And anything bad, I don't know. It's just a survival mechanism, but it's really helped me to not focus on the issues and to always focus on the solution. So I will say this, there are many decisions that I've made in years of my life, and whatever those are, they have led me to it. So it might have been like, hey, when I was very first starting into real estate, is just choosing real estate and getting into a commission-based only type of industry when I needed to provide for my family. And that's a big decision to make. It could have been, at one time where I had to decide, I'm gonna move everybody from getting paid a percentage to being on W-2, and now I'm responsible on a monthly basis for these things. It could have been that, hey, I'm gonna get out of paper and start doing Salesforce, or it could have been that I'm gonna come out of the jungle, out of partial retirement, to join Eddie Garcia on the mission of building the greatest real estate company in the country. And those are decisions that are made. So I never look at my decisions as being, how did you phrase the question? The toughest, the hardest? The hardest? I mean, I just think of decisions as decisions you have to make. Everything's hard. Sometimes figuring out where you're going to eat today could be harder than the decision to say, I'm going to stroke a check for $100,000 on a certain type of thing for my business. That might be easier. I'm one of the reasons of my success is I spend money fearlessly in my business. I think of it this way. I make a lot of mistakes. But in order to cover up those rocks of mistakes, you just got to bring in more income. Right? So I don't know how many the most challenging ones are. I think it's a hard one to answer. I hope that I gave you at least a way to figure out the answer for yourselves. How about that?
Yes. Well, choose your hard.
Yeah.
Choose your heart is kind of what I heard you say.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Can we please give Mr. Mark Dimas a huge round of applause?
Thank you. Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Oh, you made this very easy, Ashley. Everybody give Ashley a hand because she is amazing at leading and making us feel so comfortable up here. So that's a difficult job to do this every week. Understanding and studying the personalities and knowing how to. I mean, you're just a natural at this. Thank you so much for doing it.
Mark. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you to Eddie Garcia for coming up with the idea of America's Real Estate Show.
Thank you.
He's a visionary,
Eddie.
and we wouldn't be here without that. So question answer?
Okay, so we're gonna do a few Q&A. So whoever has a question, just stand up and please ask your question. Who wants to start? I know there's some people out there who have questions. Who wants to start first?
Yes.
I can start.
Yes.
And
please
who's the
stand.
question
Please
to, or
stand.
to all of us, or?
Okay, well, for you, this was for you.
Okay, thank you.
All right. What do you think agents should do? Should stop doing immediately because it's wasting time?
Oof. Eating breakfast and lunch. I really do believe that eating is a big waste of time, so that's just me. I try to eat once a day. I think every activity that you should do while you're trying to build your business should be a money-making activity in real estate. That's it. If it's anything other than that, it's a waste of your time. So you need to self-evaluate, because I don't know what you do. You could be spending time on TikTok. You could be doing pickleball in the middle of the day. You could be washing your cars or doing the lawn or working out in the middle of the day. I mean, those are things that, what's most important? Building the legacy. Everything else can come to you. There'll be a time when you could just buy a pickleball team, if you want, if you work hard enough. And so evaluate that when you wake up, It should be about real estate. You should get suited and booted first thing in the morning. Why? Because you never know when the client's going to call you, say, I just saw your listing. I'm out in front of the house. Can you show it to me? And if you're like, oh, I need to get home. I'm in my sweats. I need to do this and change. I mean, that's a waste of time. You're wasting opportunity because you're not prepared, right? So do that. Make sure you get through all of your client emails, text messages, communication, going through all of your deals. If you don't have any deals, go to the builder and walk all the model homes. Go to broker open houses. Go to producers and say, hey, instead of can I join your team? Superman, I don't know if you have any signs to put out. Bro, but if you want, I'll put the signs out for you. Can I ride with you? Can I drive you around? I'll shut up. I'll be your driver if I can just listen to you on how you do this or that, right? Money-making activities. Read. I just gave you books. Most of the time, Henish said this, I don't mind giving you my secrets because, and I'm the same way, I'll give you the whole blueprint. And less than 1% of 1% will follow my blueprint. Because they'll wake up and go, I'm not Mark. Well, maybe when you were me at 27, you'd be like, oh, I'm just like Mark. I don't have any money to pay my bills. When you look at where I grew up or my history, and my father was murdered when I was 5, my grandmother, who was a matriarch, died when I was 10. I grew up as a latchkey kid. My mom was gone when I woke up in the morning. That's why I didn't eat breakfast. Not because I couldn't afford breakfast or she wouldn't give it. I didn't have anybody to make it. I remember this one time I was like, Mom, I was like, we don't have any milk. She was like, just eat the cereal with water. The next day I ate the cereal with water, and guess what? That was the first and last time I ate cereal with water. So that helped me to not eat breakfast, right? So you start looking at, this is who made you. This is the life that you have. So I'm the same. You're just looking at me as a higher version or a future version of yourself. Makes sense? I'm here to show you that it can be done, not to set myself apart from you, to say that I'm better. Because maybe you actually have a better upbringing than I do, smarter parents, more support system. So now I'm showing you that what I can do with here, you can do even more. What took me 25 years to do, agents should be able to do it in 10 years or 15 years. So just make sure whatever you do, until you get to the point where business is just coming to you, everything you do should have to be a money-making activity in real estate. So.
Perfect. Okay, who's next? Yes, please stand and tell us your name and where you're from.
Yay.
This one's for you. So I want to know, is your deal or no deal ever live? So we don't live in the same geographic area, but I am an investor, and I deal with live investors, and I teach people. So I would love to duplicate what you do. Is there any opportunity to watch you live?
Yeah, I do all no deals live in San Diego, but I have been getting requested to do it in other places. So we have our ROA West Coast hub in Chula Vista, which is about 30 minutes from my office. So a couple months ago, I did do it live over there as well. I'm open to going to other places and hosting an event in other cities. So yeah, keep me in mind. I'd be happy to share it. Or if you wanted to do a call, what's up?
I was on Zoom too.
Oh yeah, I guess I could do it on Zoom too. It just works out a lot better in person, I can interact with the people and stuff. But yeah, I'm open to that. So if you wanted to connect with me and chat about, connecting with you in your market and doing that, I'd be happy to host as well.
Okay, who's next? Anybody? Before we wrap up? Okay.
My name is Torres from Chicago, and this is for Henish. How do you select your business partners? Like, what is the most important thing that you look for?
Yeah, and you're asking a guy that's picked the wrong business partner a few times. It is, it's important to know that person, but I now dig in a little bit. And so now even when I hire people for W-2, or if I'm hiring someone that could evolve into a business partner, it's usually not right off the bat. It's usually, I know this person and now I want to share something with them or build something together. And now when I make those calls, I check the references and then I'll ask the references for additional references that they didn't give me. So just to kind of go a couple levels deep. So doing that due diligence is helpful, but typically I'm doing trial runs with them. Let's try something together where it's not such a commitment of we're getting tangled up. One of the things I do share is that I meet a lot of people that want to flip houses or get into investments, and they'll pick their buddy that has no experience also to work with. And so that's probably not the right choice, right? You can't get two people that are doing 0 and hope to equal 1, right? So you got to work with someone that's more experienced. And so that's one of my key things is I'm trying to get someone that has a complementary skill set to me. I know what I'm good at, and I know all the things that I'm not good at. And I want the people that are good at the things that I'm not good at to work with me.
All right, perfect. And I need to repeat the question for the live stream audience. It was, how do you pick the best partners?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
Awesome.
Okay, yes, please stand and tell us your name and where you're from.
So, Liz Goodchild from Chicago.
Let's go, Liz.
Let's talk about something a little bit more on the controversial side lately, the whole Zillow thing. I just want to hear what you guys, what your thoughts about that, especially with, the third-party leads type of thing, so which you're so good at, Mark. So.
Okay, so, sorry, let me repeat the question so they can hear it. So the question is about Zillow.
Yeah, so the question is about, everything that's going on with lawsuits. Again, how to become successful. Things you can control and things you can't control. I can't control who's in the industry, who's getting sued, who's doing what. Those guys have bigger bankrolls than I do. What I can do is how do I fit myself into the scenario and see the opportunity. Winston Churchill says this, a pessimist sees the difficulty in every opportunity, while an optimist sees the opportunity in every difficulty. Okay? Doesn't matter if it's REO, the commission. Let's ask you this. Everybody was worried about buyer commissions. Oh my gosh, the buyer commissions and now this, and sellers can't do this and this. Has it affected you guys? Has it actually made you better realtors? 100%. Eddie and I have been using buyer rep agreements for 5-10 years. But why? Because we were doing it when we knew that it was good for our business. Why? Because we were losing business to a builder who would say, oh, you didn't come into whatever. I've been working with this buyer for 6 months and you're going to cut me out of the commission. Oh, so I'm going to start using buyer rep agreements. And then the whole lawsuit comes in to force agents to use them. And guess what? It's actually better for the community. It's better for our clients to know what to expect and what they should expect from their agents, right? And what we should expect from our clients. So the way that I look at it is lawsuits are going to come and they're going to continue coming. It's been said this way, if you're not getting sued, you're not doing business.
Doing enough.
Right? Meaning one day, if you're doing a lot of business, there will be somebody who's just not happy with it, and a lawsuit will come out. And so how do you deal with it? How do you see the opportunity? And that's what's going to set you apart from all the people that are just on the internet complaining. You know what not to do? Don't spend your time on the chat groups giving your opinion to all these people who don't know you, who don't care, and it's not going to make you or your family any money. Actually, one day it could come back to haunt you when they pull up 10 years ago, hey, you said this about this, and no longer can I give you this opportunity of 1,000 listings because I just found out that you talked bad about so-and-so 10 years ago on social media. So that's how I would respond to that, if any of you guys want to take that on as well. But
yeah,
yes.
I'll just say that, for us is block out the noise, the distraction, right? Like Mark says, if you can't change it, stop wasting time on it, right? And focus on what you do and what you can control and what you do best as well. And that's with all the distractions. That's how we do it. Just we phase it out and we know what our goals are. We know the direction that we're going.
And you know what? If you think about one thing, which is fiduciary, and what does that mean? That means protecting your client's best interest, that you're working for them. If you're always doing that, you won't get involved in these lawsuits because you're doing business the right way. Now, if you're doing it the shady way, just know that this is the era of times where things are coming out. And so it's like, hey, you're going to be found out, and it's not worth it. So just do good business, and you can sleep well at night. That's good.
Victor.
Hey, so Victor Dino, Austin, Texas. So Mark, you are a master connector. Today, we're going to have our Realty of America Christmas party. What advice do you give other individuals when they walk into a room with other agents from across the country? What do you think, and what are some things that they can take with them, not just for our party tonight, but also for other other events that they go to when they're meeting other business people. And then tell them about the party tonight as well. To make sure.
Good job. All right, let's go.
Yes.
Thank you. So we have our Christmas party here at the Palm, 7 p.m. And we invite, I'm hoping all you guys are going to be there, right? And so please invite your friends and people that you want to attract to Realty of America, your vendors. This is a great time to really break bread and share in the culture. How many people were at the white party at our 1-year anniversary? Okay, great. Did y'all notice one thing about me at that party? I don't know, is this, that I went around and said hi to almost everybody that I could at the party. The hundreds and hundreds of people that are there. So that's what you should do. And why do I do that? Because I want to get more friends. And that's very simple. A lot of us, what we do is we come in with our group from New Jersey, or DC, or California, or Chicago, and we stay with our group because it's comfortable, which is great. But, what business are you going to get from your group? You're already going to get that business. You better get it, right? They're your friends. So now figure out how to network with everybody else, because the great thing about Realty of America is we're a collaborative company. We're here giving business. Shout out to Andreas. I don't know if he left, but he's just listing a $10 million house in Malibu for a celebrity for Realty of America that came from the relationships that came at Realty of America. And then he's co-listing that with one of our great agents, Gabe Mendez in San Diego. And how did that come through? Is because they developed a relationship together. Now, if it wasn't Gabe, it would have been somebody else that Andreas had a relationship with. So these opportunities are all throughout our company. But again, if they don't know that you're interested in it, they don't know what market you're in, they don't even know that your energy is good to like you, how are they going to give you the business? You might as well be a secret agent. So just go up and say, hey, I'm Mark, I'm in Houston, where are you from? How long you been part of ROA? Man, it's great to meet you, whatever, what do you like to do? Hey, it's good to see you, and move on. And you never know, you're going to connect. That energy sometimes just connects, and then you have a friend. Have you ever met somebody and it's almost like you've been friends for thousands of years? That's because your energy is drawn to each other. So you may walk through and meet 10 people, and maybe the first 9, you don't get that same thing, but then you click and you meet that person, all of a sudden you're going to come back and you'll be on this stage in a year from now going, man, I met somebody who changed my life, and all I had to do was stick out my hand and say, hi, my name is. Man, Eminem should get paid for that.
Perfect. Okay, so on that note, I would love to just wrap this up. Asa, will you please come back up here? Please, everyone give Asa a huge round of applause.
Be careful with the backdrop.
Asa, thank you so much for everything that you did. I want you to please, this woman right here is in charge of not only this, but the amazing Christmas party that all of you are going to be attending tonight. So do you want to share just a little bit more about the party?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
So we are honored to have it here this year for the first time it's been held in Chicago. So I am grateful to have the opportunity to host it here in Las Vegas. It is going to be at Chaos Nightclub. We have the nightclub to ourselves at 7 p.m. So I would offer the opportunity to invite all of you, if you're not already going to attend this evening, to please, we've got some wonderful, wonderful surprises for you in store. And even more, thank you. You're sharing all these wonderful opportunities. So thank you again. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ashley, for bringing this show to Las Vegas. Thank you, Mark, for your time, Henish, and Gail. I'm so grateful to all of you. So thank you again.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Asa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks, yeah.
And a big, huge thank you to all of you for coming and being with all of us today on our very special 1-year anniversary of the show. Eddie, I'm going to start to cry, so I can't do it. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's just so beautiful. Look at what you've created. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here to celebrate with all of us today. We're going to go party it up tonight at the Realty of America Christmas party. I just can't say enough because I'll start crying, so I can't do it.
Awesome.
So thank you all so much for being here. This has been so special. Thank you to each one of you for giving of your time and your talent and your heart and your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for inspiring us today. Please give them a huge round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, we'd love to get some pictures and tag at America's Real Estate Show.
Thank you so much. That was
Thank you,
awesome. That was beautiful. That was
Thank
good.
you. You
That was
did
good.
amazing.
Thank you.